Continuing on from our previous video setting out our top tips to help getting a training contract, we here at FLoC thought it would be beneficial to take things to the next level. We want to give all aspiring trainees and solicitors further help and assistance in obtaining a position within the legal profession. As a result, we have put together our top 10 tips for completing application forms.
Firms nowadays are moving away from the traditional covering letter and CV method of recruiting, with the majority having devised their own bespoke application forms. These application forms are often firm-specific, testing you in relation to each individual firm's specific requirements and needs. To help you navigate this employment minefield and give you the best possible opportunity to successfully complete such application forms, follow these top 10 tips to achieve application form success.
Application forms can often take quite a while to complete. The application form is often broken down into a series of questions which can take a long time to complete and check thoroughly. Make sure you dedicate sufficient time to complete and check your application form. It is not simply a matter of copying in bits from your CV. Many of the questions require as much detail as would be expected in a face-to-face interview, and as such, preparation is key.
Often, the majority of application forms and the questions they contain will be subject to strict word limits for your response. Exceeding these word limits is simply not acceptable, no matter how important you feel the point you're putting down is. Word limits are there for a reason and should not be exceeded. Similarly, limited responses are also not impressive to potential employers. It is a precise skill to utilise the word limit for responses to its fullest extent. Failing to use the word limit to the full will reflect just as negatively as exceeding it.
Proofreading and ensuring the accuracy of your responses is critical in application forms. Any spelling or grammatical errors you make simply demonstrate your lack of care and attention to detail, traits which are undesirable to potential employers.
Where firms provide their own application forms, they are expecting you to be aware of their history, ethos and values. Make sure, therefore, that you conduct enough research prior to completing the application form to enable you to demonstrate within the form that you are aware of and in keeping with their specific firm values.
Make sure that you can explain and justify everything you put into your application form. Should you make it through to the interview stage, you will be asked questions on the content of your application. Not being able to expand upon this or explain your responses will not look good to any potential employer.
Every law firm has a different deadline for the submission of a training contract application form. Keep an eye out for the upcoming deadlines on each firm's individual website, or alternatively use www.lawcareers.net's comprehensive list of training contract deadlines. You need to make sure you have enough time to prepare, draft and review your application. Leaving things until the last minute and submitting an application just before the deadline will not look good to prospective employers.
Make sure you keep your application form answers concise and to the point. No employer wants to read a vague answer.
This is one of the most commonly asked questions in relation to training contract applications. Ensure you thoroughly research and utilise within your applications commercial awareness, i.e. how you view certain situations from a business or commercial perspective and are able to act accordingly.
Again, should you be fortunate enough to obtain an interview with a firm as a result of your application, you will need to have a good knowledge of the content of your application prior to attending any interview. Always keep a copy of your application form and revisit this prior to attending any interview.
Whilst this may seem an obvious point, it is in most people's nature to embellish on their credentials within their application form. Keep it simple and truthful, and that way you won't come unstuck later on in the interview process.
We hope these tips have been helpful and will assist you all in obtaining your desired careers in the legal profession. For the full text on this article, please see issue 2 of our e-newsletter, available online at www.fjglinks.com/FLoC.
Look out for our next e-newsletter, in which we will continue to provide hints and tips for all aspiring lawyers attempting to gain employment in the legal profession. In the meantime, be sure to follow us on Twitter, LinkedIn and Facebook at the following addresses.